Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of very interesting bodybuilding updates. The first one is Nick Walker. In this physique update, he actually looks pretty damn good. Recently, he posted a couple of shots at this same spot, and I said that he looked horrible, that he looked bad, that he looked actually worse than we have seen him in a while. And I stand by that, but I also can see that here, he actually looks better. Why is that? Well, in my opinion, I think he went off of everything a couple of weeks before the Mr. Olympia. That's what I heard as well. I think he decided not to do the Mr. Olympia like 4 or 5 weeks out actually, but he waited, I guess, to explain that to the IFBB and the Olympia people, and when he thought the time was right, and it probably was the wrong time 1 week out, but when he decided, he actually told us that he's not doing it. But from what I heard, and I think it actually makes sense, he decided to pull out like at 4 or 5 weeks out of Mr. Olympia, and I think when he decided to pull out, that was the time he stopped taking gear. And so he probably went off for like 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks. I don't think it was 6 weeks, but maybe like 4 weeks, which is a lot for Nick, I guess. And maybe he wasn't completely off, maybe it was like tier T plus, I don't know. But in that previous update, he definitely didn't look this good. Now here, we can see that his legs from the side are actually looking bigger than usual, guys. It could also be the posing. Maybe he is pushing that leg a little bit more. Maybe he's pressing it a little bit harder to the other leg and it makes his hamstring drop a little bit more. But his quads are also looking bigger. I mean, Nick never really had issues with leg size in the side poses, but still, I think I can see an improvement size-wise. And like the upper body is also starting to look a little bit harder, a little bit fuller. And he says here, size coming back. Keeping solid conditioning, strength going up, and food going up little by little. So why would he say his size is coming back? I mean, when he decided to pull out of Mr. Olympia, he was like 280, I believe, that's what I heard. So he wasn't small, like it's not like he lost a lot of muscle and because he was dieting down. No, he was still, I wouldn't say fat, but he wasn't shredded. It's not like he lost muscle dieting down. So I'm guessing he lost muscle because he went off the blast, let's say not off the cycle, and now that he is blasting again, the size is coming back, the strength is going up, conditioning is also getting better. I mean, maybe not the body fat percent, but like when you are fuller, when you are harder, when you're on, you're gonna look more conditioned, harder, everything like that. Now, as far as who is doing Nick's diet right now and cycle and everything like that, we don't know yet. He said that he's doing that by himself. I find that hard to believe, honestly. I think it could be Kyle Wilkes. It's very possible. It's not confirmed yet, but like I said in my previous video, I think that's the guy that is helping Nick Walker right now. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same things as myself, but I think his conditioning is definitely better now. He's harder, like the glute separation is showing, the quad is looking, quite separated, like hard. Everything is looking better. His chest is also starting to show some separation. Like overall, he is looking big and in good condition, and here he is keeping his midsection in check as well. In my eyes, guys, I think Nick can still be a top Olympian. I said it previously, Nick at his best, what he looked like before the 2023 Mr. Olympia when he pulled out because of the hamstring tear. I think that edition of Nick would probably place second at this year's Mr. Olympia. I know it's an unpopular opinion. A lot of you guys don't like his aesthetics or the lack of, but with his size, with his presentation as well, when his midsection is in check, when he is shredded, it's hard to deny this guy. It's hard to ignore him on stage. Even if you don't like him, the judges, they can't ignore all the size, all the density, all the freak factor, like a bunch of muscle. When he is conditioned, it just looks insane. So if everything finally goes well, I mean, it was, I would say these 2 years were a hiccup. Last year, what could have he done? Like, he tore a hamstring. It's not like he pulled out because he wasn't feeling it. This year, It was Matt Johnson's fault. I mean, he admitted that he wasn't focused on his guys, on bodybuilding. So if everything goes well for Nick right now this year, I think next year he's gonna do some serious damage. Like, he's gonna win a pro show, no doubt about that. And then at the Mr. Olympia, I definitely see him in the top 5 easy, but I can see him placing as high as second. Winning the Mr. Olympia, yeah, I don't know about that. Like, that's difficult, very difficult with these guys that we have today, but it's not out of question, in my opinion. Whatever you guys think, tell me down below. Alright, the next thing we got, I'm sure you guys saw this reel already. Basically, Chris Bumstead weighs himself. Martin Fitzwater does that as well, and Brett Wilkin too. And basically, the weight difference between Martin and Cbum right now is like 23 pounds. Chris Bumstead is 260 already. Now, I've seen a lot of comments, people saying that Chris said he was going to be 250. Why even are you saying that he's going to be 260, 265? I even said 270 at one point. I don't think he's going to be 270, but I don't think he's going to weigh less than 260. And also, as far as conversation, who's going to win the show, Martin or Cbum? I mean, again, Chris is 260. Guys, he's 20 pounds, over 20 pounds heavier than Martin. Yeah, Martin is shorter, but still, Chris is going to be the biggest guy on that stage, potentially the heaviest guy. And also, his structure, in my opinion, is the best structure in the history of bodybuilding. If you're gonna compare Chris Bumstead to somebody from the history, somebody in my previous video commented that, like, why Patrick Moore didn't win the Mr. Olympia. I mean, he was also shredded and he was very aesthetic. Guys, you can't compare Patrick Moore to Chris Bumstead. I mean, sure, Patrick has okay aesthetics and he was shredded, I guess, at that Mr. Olympia 2019. But guys, Chris Bumstead has like literally the best structure in the history of bodybuilding, in my opinion. And somebody was like, where did you get that he has the best structure in the history of bodybuilding? I don't need to get it anywhere. I can see it. That's my opinion, but I'm pretty sure about that. I mean, who else has better freaking structure? I mean, he's not as big as some of the other guys, but like, bone structure-wise, aesthetics, shape, everything. Man, Chris is really freaking special. You guys need to realize that. He didn't just win 6 Mr. Olympia titles in Classic Physique because he was the best on that day, on that stage. He won them because he is extremely special. And if you're gonna compare him to somebody, you can compare him to Flex Wheeler, who also had the Classic Physique weight limit when he was competing at a Mr. Olympia 1993, where he placed second to Dorian Yates. The biggest thing that Flex had that Chris doesn't is arms. Flex had massive arms, so of course I think Flex is a better bodybuilder, but man, Chris is also something special. Let's not forget that. Let's not lose track of that. And like I said, he's gonna be over 260. Right now he is 260, and you guys might be thinking he's gonna start dieting down now and go down to 250. No, guys, look, it doesn't matter what Chris is saying, what he thinks he's gonna weigh. It's all about what Honey Rambo does with him. And I'm a coach myself, I prep bodybuilders all over Serbia, basically. Take a look at this guy, for example. He's probably the best bodybuilder in Serbia right now. He's very short though, he's about Keon Pearson's height. This was him at the World Championships, IFBB, in Iran this year. He has a different coach. I wasn't prepping him for this show. And here he looked, in my opinion, a little bit flatter. He had to make the weight. He was competing in the minus 85 kilo category. He was shredded. He was peeled. But in my opinion, and I told him this after this show, he's actually my personal friend, I told him that he was flat. If he was fuller, he would have been bigger and harder as well. So he decided to do a peak week with me for the next show. And this is what we brought. You can follow him on IG if you want. His name is Dusan Belic. Basically, he was blasting full at this show. And I think because of that fullness, he was even harder. He was even leaner, pretty much. It's not like he lost any body fat. He was just fuller and bigger. And he was actually 6 kilos heavier, which is like almost 15 pounds. Take a look at his glutes right here and his back as well. Everything was just harder, fuller, and he was again almost 15 pounds heavier. So he didn't lose on conditioning, he was just bigger, rounder, more impressive overall. So if you are cutting weight for a category and you don't have a weight cap, you can get bigger and also remain as conditioned as you were. Maybe your details are not going to be as deep because your glycogen is going to be fuller, but if you nail the carb load, and also if your electrolytes are in the perfect balance, you can just look so much more impressive overall. And I already talked about this guy. He is my client. We are working together for like 4 years now. And he won the Arnold Classic Europe in Classic Physique, the overall title. But we had to make weight. And he wasn't at his best. 2 or 3 weeks later, we did the nationals, Serbian nationals, and we did the bodybuilding category. He had no weight cap, and this is what he looked like. Much better if you ask me. Fuller, bigger, rounder. Conditioning was maybe not as dry, but it was still very good. So I think Chris Bumstead is gonna be like 20 pounds heavier. And it's just gonna look so much more impressive. It's gonna be Chris's best version ever. And I am not his coach. His coach is the best coach in the world. Freaking Hani Rambat. So if I did this with my guys, imagine what Hani can do with the best genetics basically in the world with Chris Bumstead. Guys, that's gonna be just insane. I can't wait to see it on stage. Once again, I think Chris is gonna be freaking massive. The biggest, the heaviest guy on that stage. And in my opinion, he's winning that show. I know that's also a very unpopular opinion. All of you are saying top 3, top 5, something like that. No, I just have to disagree with all of you. You can tell me whatever you want, but I think Chris is gonna win the Prague Pro. And finally, we got some new information about Samson Dauda. People are speculating that he might jump into the Prague Pro or at least do a guest posing, but he addressed this on his stories, in his Q&A. He's just going to be watching that show from home. He is not going to be guest posing. He's not going to be competing either. As far as his plans for future competitions, it's just Arnold Classic. It's not Pittsburgh Pro. He doesn't plan on doing that show. He doesn't plan on doing the Arnold Classic UK as of right now. It still wasn't even announced yet, but I don't think he's going to do that. Maybe actually if he wins Arnold Classic and then just does another show, wins another 100K, but we'll see about that. Anyways, right now, he has no plans of doing the Prague Pro. Unfortunately, that would be amazing if he did a show, but it's just not gonna happen. He already basically started prepping for the Arnold Classic. I mean, he's not dieting down right now, but he says he's gonna start doing that from the December 1st. So he won't have a long break. This guy doesn't stop, man. He's crazy, basically. He competes so much, especially for somebody who is on such a high level, who is the Mr. Olympia, actually. And you gotta love the bodybuilding if you want to do that. You can't do it if you're doing it just for the money, if that's your job. He is definitely not just looking at it like that. It's his passion. You can definitely see how passionate he is about bodybuilding. And yeah, it's awesome to see somebody doing that finally. But as far as Prague Pro, that's not happening. Anyways, guys, tell me what your thoughts are about Chris Bumstead, about Nick Walker, or Samson Dauda down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, guys, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking for a coach, DM me on Instagram. We can talk about that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you soon. All the best, and bye-bye.